This DIY Cooking with Connie, and today we're going to show you some produce here that we had purchased, and some of it we picked. And so I'm going to introduce what I've got here. We have got a huge cantaloupe. It comes from the local farmer's market, and you can just smell the cantaloupe. It's so good. I can't wait to cut into it. And then we've also got, it's a candy sweet onion that we got from the farmer's market. The Amish are raising these this year, and they are simply delicious. You know, if raw onions bother you, these do not. And just take it from myself, because I have trouble with raw onion. I can eat cooked onion, but the raw onion tears me up. But these do not. And they're beautiful. And then we have tomatoes that I got out of my garden. And here's the little cherry tomatoes, which are so sweet. And then I have cucumbers that I've got out of my garden. And then we have button potatoes. I have blackberries here that I picked off my blackberry bushes. And then we have green beans that we got from the local farmer's market. So today we are going to show you how to cut up a cantaloupe. We are also going to make you some fried cucumbers today. And then we're also going to pickle some cucumbers with onions today. And then we're going to make fresh green beans. Excuse me. We're going to cut those up today, break them all up. And we're going to add some onion and some ham hock to my beans. And then we are also going to put some potatoes in those beans. They taste so good, fresh does. I mean, you can open up a can of green beans anytime, but the fresh, it's completely different taste. So please get out there and try them, and enjoy our videos today. Have a great afternoon. Okay, we're getting ready to cut this cantaloupe up. Now, when you're getting ready to shop for cantaloupe, I know they have a lot of them in the store, but farmer's market's about the best place. You pick that cantaloupe up and you give it a good sniff. If you cannot smell cantaloupe, you do not buy it. It is not ripe inside. So here we go. We're going to cut this cantaloupe up. Now I had also purchased a watermelon last week. Now I use a little paring knife to do this because it fits my hand and it's comfortable. But with a watermelon, since it's much larger, I cut it around the center. And that makes the slices smaller. I can handle them. You do whatever's comfortable for you. So we'll cut right into this cantaloupe here. Bring it on the way down. And see if we meet. There we go. What a beautiful cantaloupe. Now the first thing we're going to do with this cantaloupe, I'm going to set half of it over there. Then you notice it's all full of seeds. So we're going to take a spoon, just a regular spoon, and we're going to rake all these seeds out. Now you can dry these seeds if you want to, and plant you some cucumbers. Plant you some cantaloupe next year. But it means a lot of cleaning. You got to get all that, I don't know what you call it, the membrane off of that. You want just nothing but seed. So that looks like a pretty good job there. And what I'm going to do, the way I cut mine, I start from the top and I slice it off like so. And I have a slice here. Then I go down it. I don't want to get none of the rind in. So I'm going to bring it on around. And I got my first slice. And then I just slice it up into my bowl. Of course, you know this has to be refrigerated. This is good with a fruit salad. It's good by itself. It's also good with ice cream. So there's my second cut. Like I said, we don't want to get any rind in this. So we're just gonna follow it around and get my second cut. It looks very good. Smells wonderful. You love cantaloupe. I tell you, I can't get enough of it. Cantaloupe, watermelon, and fresh tomatoes and cucumbers. Oh, I could live off of that. Now, after a while, we're gonna do some cucumbers for you. But right now, we're working on cantaloupe. We got 2 more slices here. I always start from the very top there into your center area and work from that. Kind of keeps you lined up. And do you know that your rind, butterflies love cantaloupe rind and watermelon rind. They draw the nectar out of this and they'll just flock to this. If you can keep the coons out of it, if you got any coons in your area, because they certainly like it too. Okay, we're on our way here. I've got to have one bite of this to make sure that it's fit to eat. It is so fresh and good. I love it. So stay tuned. I'm going to finish cutting this one and another one. Okay, now we're going to get ready to make some pickled cucumbers. Now, this is what I'm adding to it. This is my pickling spice. And to this, we did 4 tablespoons of sugar, a 1/3 cup of white vinegar plus 2 teaspoons. And then we used 1 cup of water, plain old tap water, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then I just shake some pepper in it to my liking. Now on your pickling spice here, your pickling, well, I guess spice, but you can also add dill to that. My daughter likes dill in hers. You can add pepper flakes, any kind of seasoning you want to your taste. If you want it a little more sweeter, you can add more sugar, or a little bit tart, add more vinegar. It's up to your taste. So let's get started here. We have sliced up an onion, and we have sliced up some cucumbers. These are fresh out the garden. So I'm gonna start with putting some onions down in my jar. I usually use a quart jar. It depends on, you know, how many you're gonna make, but usually I use a quart jar. Put me some cucumbers in. And I always do my onions into rings like this. And that gives that pickling spice a chance to penetrate that. And so that's what you want done. You want to penetrate your cucumbers and your onions. And I kind of press down as I go down into there. And of course, we've got probably more made up than what we need, but that's all right. We can always make another jar full. I would like for you to try this. I love these, and you just put them in the refrigerator. I do heat my liquid here and dissolve the sugar because it just marinates better that way. I don't like sugar floating around in it. And so that's what I usually do. So we're gonna pack these down in here. You want that jar tight. There's the last of the cucumbers, and I'm gonna top it with a couple onions. Okay, we've got that pretty well packed. And then I'm gonna add my liquid to that. And if you run short on liquid, you can always add just a little bit of water to that to fill it to the top, because you do want everything covered. Now I've got it in there, and then to that I'm gonna add my pepper. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna put my lid on, good and tight, and give it a shake. That way the pepper and stuff kind of gets down in there, and it kind of helps settle everything. And what you got, a very pretty jar. You got, and you let, after you cook, after you heat this up with your sugar and stuff in it, you want this to cool completely down. You don't want it to swivel up your cucumbers. Now, this will stay in the refrigerator. I like to have it stayed in there for a couple weeks before I ever try eating them. It probably is okay in a week, but it'll stay in your refrigerator for months. So do give this a try. I'm sure you will enjoy it. And we'll talk to you a little bit later about the green beans. Okay, I've got stuff laid out here. Yesterday, we pickled some cucumbers and onions and put the solution on them, and they are in the refrigerator. And I usually leave them in there at least a week before I eat any of them. But today we're going to do something probably most of you have never done or tasted. So what I'm going to do today for you, I'm going to fry some cucumbers. So I'm going to get started here. I have peeled my cucumber and I slice it where they're just about yay thick. And as I cut these, I will cut out the center where the seeds are. And I just use a paring knife. You can use whatever you want, but I use a paring knife. And I cut out the center here. And now, what you have left is little pieces like this. Now you can add that to your pickling cucumbers with onions, or you can cut these up and put them in a salad. These are still good to eat. So what I've done now, I'm gonna set this aside here. I have took and got my cucumbers in here and buttermilk. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, you can also take plain milk and add a little vinegar to it, and it will clabber like buttermilk. Or you can use plain milk. And then I've also cut up some onions. So we're going to cook some onion rings too. So let's get started. I'm going to move my trash over here also. I have used about 2 cups of self-rising flour. Now, if you don't have self-rising flour, just all-purpose flour, what you probably need to do, a couple cups of flour, add about 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and salt to please your taste. And then to that, what I'm adding is a tablespoon of seasoned salt. Come on, work with me. And I'm going to add that to my flour. And I'm going to kind of work it up in there. Of course, once you get started here, it's a process that you've got to keep an eye on. You know, you don't want your cucumbers or onions to burn. And so I'm going to get started here. I'm going to dip them into my flour. Take a few at a time. You don't want to overcrowd your cooker. I have got a deep fryer and I have got it filled up with canola oil. And I've set it about 375 degrees. So I'm just going to coat these real quick. And I'm going to start dropping them. Getting ready for the next bunch here, where I'll be prepared. They seem to be doing fairly well. I use a slotted spoon here. I've got a plate, I've got a paper towel on it, kind of absorb the extra grease. Of course, it's a messy job, but thank goodness we all have a little water. We can wash our hands. So they're doing very well. I kind of flip them over. Looking good, looking good. I'll be back with this in just a few minutes, show you some done product. Okay, we're gonna break some beans. And you can see here I've got a pretty good mess of beans. And they're very easy. You check them, make sure there's no bad spots. You break off the end of each end. And then I just break them up randomly and put them in my pot. It doesn't take very long to do these, but be sure and check them for any bad spots. Now I've got one here that's got a bad spot. You can see that very well. So I'm going to cut it back to where it's like that. I didn't get it all, so I'll just cut it off with a knife. And then I will break it, put it in. There's another with a bad spot, 2 bad spots. So you can do, also you can take your knife and just cut that out. This is where a little bug is decided he wants just a little bite of that bean. Cut off the end there. And we got one more bad spot. So we'll take that right out of there and then break off the other end. Put that in the pot too. They're really easy to do. Once I get my beans broke and washed, they got to be washed really good. And then once you wash them, you know, several times, rinse them, let your water out and wash them again. You want to get any soil or anything off of them because they have been in the garden. And then I'm going to put these on to cook with a little ham hock and some bacon grease and some onion. And then I'm going to cut up some potatoes in these. It's really nice if you've got new potatoes to put in them. But I don't have any new potatoes, so I'm just going to use a russet potato. And they will be just as good. And of course, you've got all the flavoring in those beans with the ham hock and the bacon grease and your onion, and that will go right into your potato and make those delicious also. It doesn't take my family very long to go through a pot of green beans. I think that's their favorite. And As you can see, the green beans are doing very well, and they're cooking down. I've got them on simmer, and probably in about 20 minutes I'm going to be adding my potatoes to it. So I hope that you'll give this a try and enjoy them. Thank you very much.